Hey, folks, welcome. Let's talk about generative AI. And I want to be very specific is to help you is how in a corporate environment should you adopt and address and basically face the music, if you will, and how you're going to bring that into your organization in a control manner to manage risk along the way. So it will be a three series video I'll have for you. Today, we're going to talk about policy and governance. Then I'm going to touch a little bit on the second video about TPRM software that has GAI included as a feature or as a solution on its own. And then lastly, I want to talk about security testing the GAI. So today is about policy and governance. So first thing, well, before you bring it in anything or start full steam ahead in developing anything, let's set the rules on your organization. And that by that I mean what the policy of the organization is regarding generative AI or AI in general for that matter. So we're talking about the areas that you need to address on your policy. Consider addressing the adoption challenges that you will face. There's no doubt that generative AI is a great tool to your organization, take you to the next level, be competitive on the market, but also comes with some risks as you come along and bring that in your organization. So you need to recognize both sides of the coin. The other area you need to address on your policy, what are the risks? Be frank, be clear, the risks of adopting this technology in your organization. The third, governance, how you will govern this technology in your organization. And I'll go a little bit more in each of these topics that you should touch on your policy. And lastly, make sure you address the roles and responsibilities. Everybody that has to do anything with generative AI, and you will see that it is not only the technical folks that will be involved in this, need to be addressed and need to be documented at a policy level for your organization. Make sure at minimum you have those in there. So let's talk about the scope of your policy, areas that you need to touch and have in there for you. So it is a strong policy that actually provides your organization value and guidance to your stakeholders. Let's address the big question. Can you use GAI in your organization? So from my user perspective, I'm sitting here saying, well, can I go to ChatGPT and use it and copy and paste my work and then copy and paste back and, hey, I'm ready. I deliver my report, boss. We need to address that right off the bat. Answer the question, can you use it? And that's what we establish this policy. And it's up to each organization if you can and what the rules are and what can and cannot be done. If you say, no, you cannot use it, external GAI tools, well, be clear. And if you can, is there any limitations to it? What kind of information can you use and what kind of information you cannot use it? So you will decide as an organization, as a leadership team, or what needs to be done in that matter. But you need to answer that question. And you need also to call out the difference between internal and external GAI. But let's say you're not allowed external or you allowed with certain restriction limitations and conditions, but internally, yes, we can use that. So make sure that is addressed. That's the first thing right off the bat. Also part of the scope, which departments is responsible for documenting the need of GAI. You're not just going to adopt because, hey, is a new shiny toy. Now, there is need to have a business strategy around, and who will make that decision? What department will see strategically the benefits of AI? Most likely will be your IT department. But organizations vary from large organizations to small organizations and mid-size right there in the middle, what department does. But either way, you need to have document on your policy. Other third-party user and GAI being implemented in software. either as is a standalone software or a current software that you have now. You have a feature that now you have an AI feature, and so how you address those need to be on your policy. So third party, either is a third party that has AI that you engaging, or a third party that you have a current business, but now using AI to deliver their services. And we will go a little bit deeper on that topic on a second video. So I'm not going to get in too much into here, but you need to have that on your policy. The other one, you start addressing your common risks, if you will. Privacy. You need to speak a little bit what is the impact to the organization. So the readers, the stakeholders in your organization, the users, the employees, the staff, understand the privacy impacts if they don't do it right. Right? Contractual obligations. What is the impact? And that goes a little bit to your third party as well. So do you have is a department in your organization decide just to go on their own and contract with this cloud services that provide AI that make their job easier? Do you have a process internally to acquire software, to acquire or review contracts and so forth? So make sure that is addressed. There is any contractual impact to your business. And responsible AI. Right. Also is a term that is coming new. Mostly talk about ethic AI, but ethics is a term that they are phasing out using responsible AI, and I'll touch that one later on. But responsible AI, make sure that a team in your organization that deals with ethics and compliance is part of that group discussing the policy as well, because there are some ethical concerns in there. Bias, inherent bias. Yeah, depending on your training data, yes, you will have some. Even if you have a clean training data and you understand where the training data coming from, inherent bias is almost unavoidable because it's scenario based. So it might be good ask a question in this context, but in this context, demonstrates a bias a little bit. So it's almost impossible to get away with, but you need to address in your policy that is not acceptable, or it is acceptable. I don't know. I'll play both ends here. It is your organization, most likely, will be not acceptable. But regulatory impact. Are you in a regulated industry? If you are, you need to be very clear if that data, it is allowed or not allowed on internal versus external or both generative AI modules. So the LLM, the large language module, as a training data. So it's something to discuss. Regulations are slow to catch up, but sometimes there are requirements that put enough restriction by implication, and is implied there that you're not able to use it because requirement 4, 5, and 6 won't be met if I use it. So it is implied. Very rarely right now is going to be explicit, since GAI just exploded with ChatGPT November 2022. But you need to address regulatory data and regulations in general on your policy. The output quality of your data or need to be addressed, right? Not only you need to worry about the data going in, the training data, but also the data coming out. That is a new data point. Need to be what the quality of that data is. And quality is just a different way to say hallucinations. You need to get that under control. Make sure that the data is validated. Make sure that data is classified again. Let's say I'm going to use only public data, or I only was going to use confidential data, or I'll use a little bit of both. But when generative AI generate new knowledge, new information, the output that has to be classified as well. So, and validated if it's true or not. So there is need to be a little bit of human touch in there as well. Lastly, make sure that you have your team prepare to review this policy. As we just talked about here, there are a lot of areas that goes a little bit beyond your IT and your cybersecurity. Make sure your legal from a contractual perspective is involved. Make your ethics and compliance folks are involved because inherent bias or anything like that. Make sure your IT, make sure your cybersecurity involved. Make sure your data protection team is involved because now we were talking about classifying data. Make sure certain key stakeholders are involved depending on your deployment of GAI, if impact them directly, to make sure they're involved. So lastly, I want to talk here is governance and who's responsible, who's not, needs to be addressed, and who's be part of that team. I just mentioned a few of them that you should definitely strongly consider being part of that team and to make those decisions. There are several gray areas. There will be several challenges to the policy. No matter how comprehensive, how thought out that you did this policy, we'll have events, we have situations that will challenge the letter of the law, the letter of your policy, that you haven't thought about it, right? That's normal. That's your day to day. But be prepared. That team will be there to support the policy, even though that policy might reside under the cybersecurity umbrella or under the IT umbrella, depending who's going to be responsible of updating and maintaining that policy. You're not doing that alone. That governance team will work with you in supporting defending the requirements of that policy in your organization.